but we didn't use any of that creosote. So again, it's gonna be pretty easy to apply. It's very pleasant. I really like the way it smells. Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, I'm gonna show you how to make Horace Kephart's bug dope recipe. Stay tuned. When Horace Kephart was trekking through the woods, and especially in areas known today as the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, he was often plagued by mosquitoes and blackflies, like many other woodsmen were. Now, in my last video, where I showed you how to set up the 1920s Horace Kephart tent, I had a lot of questions. People were talking about the fact that there was no floor. Another couple of people, at least, perhaps more than that, made a statement about, you're gonna get eaten alive by mosquitoes. And yes, that's true. They faced the same problems we did today. Now, there were some tents that had some mosquito netting in it. They often called it mosquito bar. And there were things that you could carry as well as additional netting that would help you. But one of the things that all the woodsmen had and things they tried were different variations of chemical recipes that would help them be able to smear it on their body and keep those bugs and flies and gnats and all of that away from them. So this is his recipe. It's based on his 1910 writings. So his recipe was this, and pardon me for reading this, but I want to make sure and get this right. Horace Kephart shared this formula in his book, Camping Woodcraft. And what it did is it blended pine tar for its sticking power, citronella for its familiar scent, and pennyroyal oil, which was the secret potent weapon of the mountaineer. Together, these oils made a barrier that insects would not cross. According to his original recipe, which was put together by Dr. Edward Beck, it called for 3 ounces of pine tar, 2 ounces of castor oil or olive oil, 1 ounce of pennyroyal oil, 1 ounce of citronella oil, 1 ounce of creosote, which is made from a wood type tar, and 1 ounce of pulverized or powdered camphor. He also used carbonated Vaseline, enough to turn it into a paste so that it wouldn't just be a liquid. Of course, if it gets hot enough, it's going to flow pretty freely. Since Kephart's recipe uses carbonated Vaseline as a base, it, again, as I said, is more of like a soft salve. However, reports from the field said that it was sticky and tarry enough to stay on your skin even when you were sweating very heavily. This recipe typically makes enough to fill a pint flask when all the ingredients are put together. So this is about 9 to 9 1/4 fluid ounces or 266 milliliters. What makes Kephart's original recipe work so well was the bug repelling heavy hitters that it contained. Pennyroyal oil, which is a strong mosquito repellent, citronella oil, which is a classic insect deterrent and still used today. Creosote, this is wood tar, has a smoky scent which deters gnats and midges, and then the pine tar is sticky and aromatic and it discourages biting flies. The creosote in particular contributed to a persistent smoky odor that insects don't like. It's the same reason perhaps that they stay away from your campfire when you have a smudge fire going. All that smoke drives away the insects. However, creosote, especially that made from coal tar, is now known to contain carcinogenic and irritating compounds and is somewhat toxic. Creosote is typically made from distilling tar from wood or coal. It's a dark and oily liquid. It's used historically as a wood preservative in medicines as well as an insect deterrent. Because of creosote's unfriendly properties, we're going to substitute citronella, tea tree oil, and clove oil. Tea tree oil plus clove oil plus citronella oil has actually a stronger repellency than Kephart's original recipe, so it's going to work well for us. Here are our ingredients. We have the pine tar oil, castor oil, tea tree oil, pennyroyal oil, citronella, and then this is our camphor, and we used a block of camphor and just smashed it up, and then petroleum jelly. And this is the camphor gum block that we used. I just put it in a bag and smashed it up with a hammer to make a powder out of it. If you're familiar with camphofenique, which maybe your grandparents used, you're going to be very familiar with this smell. And last but not least, we have our clove oil. Now before we get started, I've got a small fire down here and I've let it burn down to just some coals, and I've got an old dedicated aluminum pan. This is an old Buckeye pan, and we're going to use this because once you put the pine tar and all the other ingredients in here, it's going to be really hard to clean up. So you want to use an old dedicated pan that you can use over and over, hopefully for the same thing, but definitely will work. The first ingredient we're going to put in here is the petroleum jelly. We want to heat it up and warm it up, and it calls for 2 ounces. So it takes 2 tablespoons to make 1 ounce. So there's 1, there's 2, 3, and 4. And then we put a little bit of extra in there if we want to make it a little stickier. This is to help it stay on the skin a little bit better. All right, so there we go. Next, we need to add 2 ounces of castor oil, which is 1/4 of a cup. All right, you can see that. Put that in there. And we also need 2 ounces of our pine tar oil. All right, again, another 2 ounces. There we go. It's a very dark liquid. Here's what our mixture looks like. And so we're going to take this and we're going to melt this together over this low heat. And you can also use a double boiler if you wish. We're just going to put it over this low heat here. And I would definitely recommend doing this in a ventilated area. And just be careful that you don't have too much heat, because again, this stuff is flammable. So for those of you who are a little concerned, use a double boiler, which is simply a pan of water with a can or a jar or a smaller pan set inside the water, so the water kind of helps keep it from getting too hot. Okay, we've got that to a really good and liquid consistency. We're going to remove it off of the fire. Just keep it close to the heat right here. And now we're going to add 1 ounce of tea tree oil, which is 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. We also need to add 1 ounce of the pennyroyal oil. And again, it's 2 tablespoons. And there's 1 and 2. Now 1 ounce of citronella oil. 1 and 2. And then another ounce of clove oil. And 2. Now we add 1/2 ounce of our camphor powder to the powdery consistency we're looking for. Some of it is still a little chunky, but this would just be 1 tablespoon. And now we go ahead and we stir all of these ingredients together. Especially want to pay attention to the chunks of camphor and make sure that those get really stirred in well and really broken up in the liquid if you don't use powdered camphor. All right, so we have pulled it off of the fire. It's still nice and warm and liquid. And we're going to be using our Coleman number 0 funnel here. It's got a screen in the bottom. And we're going to fill this small bottle up first, because this is something that we're going to use when we're actually camping. This is a little big. This is for storage. This is the one that we want to use. This is from 1920s, 1930s. This one is Goss, and it is dated 1916, as you can see. Whoops, I spilled a little bit of it there. All right, got that wiped up a little bit. It's going to keep bugs from landing on my board here. All right, now you want to do this before this gets too cool, because again, it is a liquid right now, but it's not going to be very long, and it's going to take on more of a paste-like consistency. So, all right, there we go. Got that nice and full. It's a little hard to do this without spilling it. A little bit back in here, and then wipe it clean with the rag. The rest of this is going to go in the big flask. It's already starting to congeal on me, so I have to help it a little bit here. Now, depending on how much of this you have, you may want to go ahead and take your finger and scoop up some of this, because as you can see, there's quite a little bit left in the pot, and we don't want to waste any of it. We already spilled a little bit. Kind of hard to do this and film it. All right, there we go. And you can see we've got a few particles left in the bottom from the camphor, but that's fine. This is meant for kerosene, so we can just easily rinse this out with a little kerosene. It's going to be just fine. Put the lid on it, and yeah, that works pretty good. Got quite a bit in there. It's about this much full. If we hadn't have used this, it would have been nearly full, so this is going to be great for storage. This is going to be great for putting in the pack when we go out camping. All right, so we've got it in our main flask, and this is called a non-breakable flask. And this is just a really cool item that I found at an antique store. But this is going to be perfect. And what's really neat about this is it says right here, it says to heat contents, remove cap, and then place on any hot surface. So this right here, you can place this on a stove or over some coals, on a rack, inside of a pan. And if this gets a little bit too hard for you to get out of that, you can just warm it back up. So this is ideal for this particular application. As far as using this, it's like a lot of things. It's for external application only. Do not ingest this under any circumstances. By the way, this video is for educational purposes only. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it face any exposed skin, definitely not in the eyes or the mucous membranes. But you're just going to take some and you're just going to start smearing it on. Now, a lot of people think that this would be like coal or something like that, but we didn't use any of that creosote. So again, it's going to be pretty easy to apply. Just keep it out of your nose. Of course, forehead. Make sure that if you sweat, it doesn't run into your eyes. And of course, neck, anything like that. And it doesn't take a whole lot. A little bit goes a really long way. Now, some folks may find this a little irritating to the skin, so try it on a little bit before you put it all over yourself and just go out into the woods. All right, so our little Winthrop bottle. Now, what's important about this is, again, if it gets too hard and it doesn't stay liquid, you want to have a hole big enough that you can stick your finger in. And I can get mine in all the way past this knuckle, so I can get down really far into this bottle and I can swirl it around and get some out and put it on my face. But like I said, we're going to save this for the trip, so when we go out and start doing our camping series. As far as the smell is concerned, it's very pleasant. I really like the way it smells. And it's not at all a horrible or hateful smell. It's very light and it's a nice scent. It's kind of an outdoorsy, woodsy scent. And so, it's not super greasy. And I think it's going to work really well at keeping those bugs and insects off. Now, if you have people around that don't know what you've mixed together, make sure you mark it and label it clearly for external use only. That's really important. So basically, you just rub a small amount on your exposed skin. You would reapply every 2 to 3 hours or as needed. Now, a disclaimer, this concoction should not be used on children or pregnant women due to the essential oil concentration. And finally, here on my clipboard, you can take a screenshot of this. If you are looking for the ingredients, it also includes the milliliters for those of you who live in areas where that measurement is important. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Another foray into the past as we dig up and discover things that our ancestors did, very important people to the outdoors like Horace Kephart and others. This is a great recipe. Again, I like the way it smells. It doesn't feel bad on the skin. It's very easy to apply and be easy, of course, to reapply. And you can just tell from its texture that it's going to stay on for at least 2 to 3 hours, even under heavy sweating. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure and check out the links in the description box below, just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll also find the link for our Waypoint Survival digital class. And this is where you can train, in the comfort and convenience of your own backyard, the top 20 skills that we consider to be the most important from our Phase 1 Survival and Bushcraft class. You'll also find our waypointsurvival.com link, and this is where you can sign up to take in-person classes here at our beautiful training facility in Southern Ohio. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.